What in heaven's name brought you to Casablanca?
My health. I came to Casablanca for the waters.
The waters? What waters? We're in the desert.
I was misinformed.
He taught me, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent.
You're tearing me apart!
What?
You say one thing, he says another, and everybody changes back again!
Top news stories of the week. Time to find out once again with Megan Olson and News of the Week on The Al Travis Show.
I love having her on the program. Megan, how are you today?
I am great. I'll be honest, Al. I feel like I am the least prepared this week, mostly because I took a little hiatus from the socials over the long weekend. And then today I was trying to get caught up, and boy, oh boy, what did I miss?
Well, this is, you will understand this because you stay highly connected until you don't. I took like a week ago, Saturday, when it's 50 degrees, whatever that week, 2 weekends ago, I just unplugged. I was watching football. I turned the phone off. It was going crazy reading all this stuff. But because of this, what I do for a living, I think I have to know. So phone's back on. I'm honestly spending way too much time on the X and all the different news channels and all the rest. But I find really driving me nuts right now is the idea that if you're on this side of the algorithm, you see this and it rock solid covers your butt. You know you are 100% correct. And the exact same story on this side says, look at that, you're right 100%. You can't get the middle. And let me use it if I may. Mm-hmm. Today's front page, and it'll probably be on your top stories next week, is they picked up a guy, and I asked, Tao is his name. I'm not going to get the last name right. Tao's his name. They picked him up in his underwear, Crocs, and they threw a blanket over him, ran in his house, grabbed this guy, pulled him out, kept him for 2 hours, find out he's a real naturalized American citizen. The story on top of the strip is that he is friends of the mayor of St. Paul. She's sticking up the great guy. You arrest him right in front of his family and friends. And if you just read the Star Tribune article, you're like, those stupid ICE guys, what in God, what are they doing? Now, I happen to read 10 or 12 different, I don't get papers because they don't make any more news articles, or, newspapers online. The AP story, which covered the exact same story. AP is not a right-wing knucklehead advertising paper. It's not. But I read that whole story, and it's about 90% the exact same thing as the Star Tribune. But there's a couple interesting differences, because as you're reading the story, you go, good God, why would DHS just run into this man's house willy-nilly and grab him? Why would they do that? It's only going to hurt their cause. Here's their response. The U.S. citizen lives with 2 convicted sex offenders and that was the site of the operation. They were going after sex offenders. He would refuse to be fingerprinted or ID himself. That's why he was picked up. Like, okay, but what makes you think he's there, right? You got to have you can't just bust in the house. I'm still having a hard time. Go down to almost the last paragraph. They picked up this man's son on his way to work because he was driving his cousin's boyfriend's car, really quite removed. But that car was registered to the name of the person they were going for, the child convicted killer or child molester. So you see the car driven by Bobby Johnson, whatever his name was. Hey, pull him over. They pull him over. He's like, I'm not Bobby Johnson. I'm borrowing his car. Where do you live? I live over here at this house. So now they're thinking Bobby Johnson lives at that house. He borrowed him the car. And they go there. Tao won't say who he is, won't show any ID. We think we got the right guy. They pull him out, find out he's not, and bring him back. It sucks all the way around. I apologize he had to be pulled out. But DHS wasn't running around opening doors and just jumping in. You know what I'm saying? If you don't read all the stories, you're just going to go with the Star Trib. They're running around grabbing people aimlessly.
And that is the tricky part about all of this is, and I mean, you're right, the algorithm does feed you tailored content to reinforce your already existing opinion. You're very rarely going to see the other side. So that's problem number 1. Problem number 2, and I said it last week, I'll say it again, that there's 2 sides to this. Everyone thinks it's black and white. Yeah. I think there's gray space in this. You can believe that the actions of ICE in some cases are wrong. morally questionable. We don't have all the details, whatever. But you can also agree that illegal immigration is a problem, and there are people who are here illegally who should be deported. Those
And
things
these-
don't exist, but society is telling us you have to pick one side or the other.
See, and that is the problem. Again, back to if you just read the Star, you don't know about it. You got to read all the way down to the 12th paragraph to find out from AP the not answers. Again, I'm apologizing. The guy got rounded up in all this, but you can see they weren't randomly doing it. They got the guy's car. They thought it had the same name. Wasn't the same guy, by the way, although he was a guy convicted of sex offenses. Small world, anyway. I just want people to know there's two sides. It's kind of like, and I don't know if you want to talk about the church being hit, protesters going into the church this Sunday it was St. Paul Baptist. This is so crazy to me. So I'm watching this. Can we just discuss? Don Lemon is there, the old CNN anchor, right? And he's doing this really aggressive interview with the pastor. And I'm watching all this and I'm like, okay, that was kind of mean. Pastors, he's literally trying to say prayers for everybody to get back.
Yes,
And you're giving
he's like, this is a place of worship.
Yeah,
What is happening? You can tell
so-
he's so taken aback.
Well, you've probably done 600 services and never have you had Don Lemon asking you questions about your God and whether he would, what side he'd be on. So you can see he was a little taken back. And I thought to myself, okay, not necessarily a Lemon fan, but boy, did he get a news story as it broke, right? Then this morning, yesterday, I see that DHS or DOJ is going to look into Don Lemon having broke some laws.
And he's claiming it's just journalism. He followed the crowd. He was, acting with the First Amendment rights of journalistic integrity, blah, blah, blah.
And you know what? He might be able to get by with that. But then there was somebody re-released he was doing, what do you call it, live streaming stuff, right? So he just pulls in Minneapolis and he does this bit. I'm just paraphrasing, but he's outside with, I can't show anybody's faces, but these guys are. And he named a group from Black Lives Matter. And he named one girl's name who has to be really mad he did it. And we're just about ready to go in and do a protest. They called it a name. I don't remember what they called it, but I can't tell you where it's at because they go to unsuspecting places and hit people up. And he was really excited about it. He does this live. And what do you know? It's just before they go into the church. Here's my point. And I've seen it all. Even if you're a news person and this is going to be the scoop of a generation, you're not allowed to conspire with the people before they do a crime. Hey, I'm going to get the latest bank robbery because I know the bank robber and he's going to let me. You can't do that. I'm sorry, Don Lemon. You might have thought you were getting a Pulitzer Prize, but you can't. There's got to be some integrity somewhere.
Yeah, I was going to say some third party kind of removed reporting is one thing. It's another to kind of act as though you're a part of this group. And then also, and I don't know if this is on a journalist or not to know this, but it's a violation for this protest to enter the church under the FACE Act, which is a federal law essentially that prohibits people from interfering with a person trying to exercise their First Amendment rights of religious freedom at a place of religious worship. So that is kind of the crux of the issue here, is that they entered a place of worship and they're interfering with people's ability to practice their religion. Under the guise that there's an ICE director who is also a pastor at this church, which I'm not sure if that's been confirmed yet. I know there's the same name on the website.
I'm going to say it has a lot to do with that first story. Sometimes people have the same name. You might have just went after a church for no good reason. And let's just say he actually was a nice guy. Okay.
It's a unique enough last name that I could see maybe being the same, but we don't know that yet.
Yeah. The other problem that comes out of this, and I just share on a personal level, one of my children goes to a larger church and helps with security. I don't believe this church had that, but some churches people carry. And if you saw people racing into your church and you don't know if it's going to be violent or not, that could have got bad really quickly. And I don't think anyone's thinking about that. You know what I'm saying? Hey, we can go in there at church. No one's.
Yeah,
there are churches that protect themselves. Yes.
Violence and break-ins at other churches that have prompted other churches around the Twin Cities to enact safety protocols, whether it's, beyond carrying, just locking certain doors or only having one point of entry. Like there are kind of steps to, it's almost like securing a school where there's, lockdown measures, something like that. And yes, this church, I don't believe had that, which it's a church. You wouldn't think, that's
you wouldn't
the last
think.
place that you would think something like this would happen.
All right, we'll talk more after this. I've got our Megan's News and Review.
When the stakes are high at the Minnesota Capitol, you need more than a lobbyist. You need a partner. At Momentum Advocacy, we bring nearly 90 years of combined experience in government relations, public affairs, and strategic communications. From nonprofits to national corporations, we help organizations navigate Minnesota's political landscape with integrity, insight, and results. Whether you need legislative champions or headlines, Momentum Advocacy delivers. For more, visit momentum-advocacy.com. Momentum Advocacy, your friends at the Capitol.
Think about it. A famous politician once said, "You're entitled to your opinion, but you are not entitled to your own facts." But in a world full of AI and fake news, where can Minnesotans find the facts? Center of the American Experiment is Minnesota's go-to source for fact-based analysis and common sense solutions for taxes, energy, public safety, and our kids' education. Visit AmericanExperiment.org for more information. Think About It is brought to you by Center of the American Experiment, Minnesota's think tank.
Are you kidding me?
You know that comment you said to the radio? The thing that we got wrong?
Clearly, Brussels sprouts are the worst vegetable.
Call us and let the world know your thoughts. 855-257-7469. That's 855-ALS SHOW.
And we've got our Megan's News in Review. A good story, Megan, that it probably won't ever make the top of the news, but I want people to know about it. Hoffman is back. The Hoff is back. Fox 9, NPR, Channel 11, WCCO. Mm-hmm. He did this circuit the other day, which is really good news. And it's going to be drowned out by everything else that's going on, but that is good news.
That's the unfortunate part about it is, you and I sit here, we talk about the top Minnesota news stories. If you kind of comb over everything that's happening nationally here in Minnesota, this certainly would be top of the list for sure. I mean, Senator Hoffman has, done some speaking engagements, but hasn't really touched on the shooting that happened last summer that took Melissa Hortman and her husband and her dog's life. And Senator Hoffman and his wife were also shot, and he's finally breaking his silence. The reason for this is because he wants to kind of, what I've heard, get these out of the way so he can focus on session. That starts next month. So he knows the media has questions. They want to hear from him about this. So he's doing all of these interviews now and really just kind of delivering a message of hope. And talking about how afraid he was in that moment, how grateful he is for the true law enforcement that came and helped save his life. And then some of the measures too that he might be considering, as far as he says he's supportive of metal detectors at the Capitol, but he wants there to be a debate on that. He's also supportive of making it, I think it's a misdemeanor right now to impersonate a police officer, but now he wants that to be a felony. So some policy proposals that he has to kind of.
And it's going to be hard to stop anything that he puts his name on. I think this is fantastic. We've been in correspondence with him. Big part about it, he didn't talk a lot about the case itself and right, wrong, and he's not going to do that, as I understand it, until this case goes to court, which is now pushed back because Thompson is no longer running things here in the state. He resigned, so that seems to be pushed back, which makes us sad. But I think we're going to get back in the program to talk about what's going on at the Capitol. So we're thrilled to death that he is back. The story that won't get anything in the paper, but I find interesting is, it's cold outside. I actually said on the show 2 days ago, what it must have been yesterday, that what this state needs is one of them 40 below weeks just to get people off the street, ICE agents and everybody else. I mean, let's just have everybody settle down a little bit. Well, it got bad enough yesterday. A bunch of people went indoors to Target to protest. And I would sing songs, and you can do what you want. Target can do what they want as far as kicking people out, and they didn't. That should be a story. I don't know. We worry about there are businesses that have to close down because things aren't going well with what's going on in the neighborhood. And Target might be big enough to have a lobby full of people getting warm and singing chants, but this doesn't help anybody. I don't need to tell Target what to do, but just say, hey, we support you, but you can't be in the store. You got to go do someplace else.
It does almost make you question too, who is the target of the protest then? Because now you're targeting your fellow citizens who are kind of, going about their life, and maybe they are in agreement with you, but they have, jobs or a family to feed, and they're there getting groceries for their family to take home to, and they're living paycheck to paycheck. And now, another, barrier to me just trying to put food on the table. It does kind of make you question. I do think the weather is part of it. I think I saw Friday, the high is like -10, and I'm not. So.
I'm not covering it. So the news people, we're not covering that. It's too cold. And one last thing that isn't making the news that we probably should do, the story of the week that didn't make the news. The SNAP numbers came out. There's 21 states, including Minnesota, I think it is 21, that have not given their SNAP numbers to
we're kind
the
of
government.
doing that as kind of a stake in the ground form of retaliation because federal government is trying to cut SNAP funds to Minnesota.
Well, see, and here's what's interesting to me. The ones that did, mostly Republican states, whatever the number was, 29 of them, they found 500,000 people were getting SNAP funds from more than one state at a time. And that's with the ones that turned it in. So you can almost double that, right? The folks that haven't, you presume they're getting the same treatment everybody else is. That's 1 million humans. I'm rounding up. 1 million humans doubling up. They found one person getting SNAP benefits in 6 states.
How is that even possible? That's
this
what
is
I
what
want to know. Do you have a driver's license in all of those states? Like
they use the same information in all states, same name, same social. They got it in all states, and I'm like, it can't be that easy. But I think Minnesota's proving it is that easy. But that's back to Minnesota. Give it up. Everybody, let the feds find out who's cheating us, and by holding them back, that's gonna cost us all. I was stunned. The 500,000 has nothing to do with Minnesota. We didn't give them our numbers. This is the other states. Double it.
Well, and I'll remind you too, Attorney General Ellison is suing the federal government over this. And just this last week, federal judge in Minnesota granted the preliminary injunction against the Trump administration, which protects SNAP benefits. So this $129 million in federal funds that was frozen in Minnesota now is unfrozen. Preliminary injunction. So more to come on that, but Minnesota is certainly resisting in every way they can.
Well, then this is what drives some of us a little crazy. We know there's fraud, and you won't do what it takes to stop the bad guys so that we can help the poor people we want to help. If there's 1 million humans doubling up, tripling up, getting it, I want it stopped. That's just me. I'm a crazy man. Got to fly. I'm out of time. Appreciate you. Do it again next week.
Yeah, we'll be back next week talking about the top Minnesota news stories of the week. Maybe the national kind of cloud will clear and we'll get back to kind of nitty-gritty Minnesota legislature updates here on the Al Travis Show with Megan's News in Review.